This will sound very strange, but the domination of the movie Oppenheimer at this year's Oscar Awards, a movie about the Manhattan Project to build the first atomic bomb, and the new U2 song Atomic City that they have been playing in Las Vegas, a city that symbolizes atomic bombs because of the first atomic bomb testing site north of Las Vegas, and the collapse of the car park in the financial district of Manhattan in April of 2023, and the release of the new video game Diablo 4, in which there was in New York City a giant billboard that said, "Welcome to Hell, New York City," and the date 6/6. And on that day, the sky was bright orange-red due to the smoke from the wildfires in Canada. And there was an air quality advisory for New York City. And that was on the same day that the dam exploded in Ukraine. Is all part of a prophecy from the righteous Christian God of the Bible that is predicting that dirty bombs will explode in Manhattan, New York City, which will lead to a large-scale evacuation due to the air quality. On December 16th, 2024, the date that this video is posted proves that this prediction is being made ahead of time, as does this time-stamped email and forensic notes PDF document. If you are skeptical for some reason, please email me and I will forward these to you. If you have already watched this introductory information in another video that is about the prediction for the dirty bombs in New York City on December 16th, then you can skip ahead 20 minutes. Do not skip ahead if you have watched similar introductory information in a video about Harris's predicted plane crash or any other prediction. This introductory information is different for each prediction, and the differences in the information is essential for each prediction. God's true big picture of signs, patterns, and connections is only being explained on this channel. The full intended meaning of God's prophetic signs cannot be properly understood without their context and connections to other prophetic signs. God's big picture of signs is an interconnected web. It is through these connections between related prophetic signs that God is telling very important stories that are revealing very important knowledge. For example, it is through God's big picture of signs, patterns, and connections that he is revealing the way in which Barack Obama will become the president again, which is through the death of Vice President Kamala Harris in a plane crash. For many years, God has been painting this particular picture through his prophetic signs, and along the way he has been developing numerous trails of connected signs that are leading to the precise date that Harris is predicted to die in a plane crash. Here is a diagram that illustrates one such example among countless examples. As we can see here, God has demonstrated a number of trails of signs that led to August 24th, 2023. It was known ahead of time that there would be a prophetic sign related to the death of Kamala Harris in a plane crash on August 24th. And then on this day, Vladimir Putin was the first public official to confirm that the Russian general and leader of the Wagner Group that attempted a coup of Vladimir Putin died in a plane crash, which hints at the soft coup that has been unfolding in America in recent years. In retrospect, it could have been easily predicted that the Russian general of the Wagner Group would die in a plane crash on August 24th, because it was known that August 24th is 54 days before October 17th, which was another date God was pointing to ahead of time. This is why on August 24th, Trump, God's trumpet, had in 5 months been arrested for the 4th time in the 4th state, it also hinted at the number 54. God has been using in his signs the theme of the 54th Massachusetts Regiment, the first black regiment to fight in the Civil War, who were known for fighting valiantly at Fort Wagner. This is why, in retrospect, it could have been predicted that the leader of the Wagner group, the Russian general who attempted a coup, could have been predicted ahead of time to be on August 24th, 54 days before October 17th, 2023. As we can see in this diagram, the trail of signs continues on from August 24th to the date it is predicted that Kamala Harris will die in a plane crash on February 24th. This is how God's true big picture of signs, patterns, and connections works. And this theme of the 54th Massachusetts Regiment is an example of a story that God is telling that is extremely important. Actually, February 24th ended up being another step in the trail of signs regarding the prediction for Kamala Harris's death in a plane crash that is leading to December 24th. The date 224 hints at 2 times 24 and hints at G2424 in Strong's Greek Bible Concordance, which is the Greek word for the name Jesus. Greek letters are also numbers, and the numeric value of the name Jesus in Greek is equal to 888. The number 24 is 8 plus 8 plus 8. The other prophetic signs on February 24th also revealed the number 8. This includes the S&P 500 stock market index's close for the weekend at 5,088.80. The stock market closed at 5,088.80 points because the most central prophecy in the Bible describes a period of time between the decree to rebuild Jerusalem and Jesus' triumphal entry into Jerusalem in his first coming. From the text of the prophecy, it is straightforward that this period of time is 5,888 moon cycles, which means that the year of Jesus' triumphal entry into Jerusalem in his first coming was a year in which there was an extra month of Adar in the Hebrew calendar. The year 30, 31, and 33 AD did not have an extra month of Adar. This is one clear reason for how it is indisputable that the year of Jesus' triumphal entry and his death and resurrection was in 32 AD. This prophetic stock market sign also proves this. And the Boston Celtics basketball team's 8th win in a row, giving them an 8-game lead over the next team, and the dangerous basketball court storming incident after the 8th ranked Blue Devils college basketball team lost to the Deacon Demons in an upset. Also on February 24th, Trump won the primary for the 8th state to join the Union when he beat the former governor of the 8th state. Trump campaigned in the capital of the 8th state on the day of Harris's third visit to the 8th state this year, which hinted at 3 8s and 888. The name Trump in Simple English Gematria is equal to 88. Donald J. Trump in English Gematria is equal to 888. The S&P 500 stock market index close at 5,088.80 on February 24th hinted at adding 5 times 8 days from February 24th to reach April 4th. 5 times 8 days after the stock market was closed at 5,088.80 points was the date 4/4, April 4th. The Antichrist is the 44th president and also the basketball president who wore jersey number 23 in high school. It is predicted that the 44th president will become the president again after the death of Kamala Harris in a plane crash, and the date 4/4 in 2024 was exactly 2 times 3 years, which hints at the number 23, after the crash of the Thunderbird's jet that was number 4 in its squad on the date 4/4 in 2018. Thunderbird's jets are F-16s, which hints at 4 times 4. This Thunderbird's jet crashed in the 36th state, and the number 36 hints at 666, the number of the Antichrist in Bible prophecy. Alaska is the 49th state to join the Union. The 49th vice president is predicted to die in a plane crash, which will lead to the return of the 44th president to the White House. And on the date 4/4, Alaska Airlines announced that it had received $4 times $4 million from Boeing for the door that blew out of its plane in January. This announcement regarding $4 times $4 million on the date 4/4 was exactly 4 times 4 days before 2 Japanese military helicopters collided and crashed. 4 plus 4 Japanese military crew died in the crash. In God's signs, helicopter blades are symbolic of the letter X, which is symbolic of the mark of the Antichrist that is described in Bible prophecy. Also, the mark of the Antichrist changes a person's chromosomes, which is symbolized by an X. An X helicopter blade hints at 4 points, and 2 helicopter blades hints at 4 and 4. The 2 helicopters and their blades that hinted at 4 and 4 crashed and killed 4 plus 4 people 4 times 4 days after the date 4/4 and the announcement regarding $4 times $4 million. The reason why God is using Japan in his signs is that the land of the rising sun, with a sun on its flag, is symbolism for the coming catastrophic solar flare that will knock out America's power grid, and Japan is symbolism for nuclear bombs. Also on the date 4/4 in 2024, demolition of the Uranus building in Taiwan began. Images of the Uranus building that was leaning on a 25-degree angle after the strongest earthquake in Taiwan in 25 years became emblematic of the destruction in Taiwan. In other words, the Uranus building came to symbolize the Taiwan earthquake. Uranium is used in the production of nuclear bombs, and uranium was named a couple of years after the discovery in 1781 of the planet Uranus. The name for uranium was inspired by the discovery of the planet Uranus. In God's signs, Uranus is symbolic of nuclear bombs. Barack Obama was the first sitting president to visit Hiroshima, Japan. The Taiwan earthquake was 7.4 in magnitude, which hinted at the date 7/4, which symbolizes America, making this earthquake a warning of judgment for America. The demolition of the Uranus building occurred on the same day as the 4.5 magnitude earthquake, that shook New York City, where the dirty bombs are predicted to explode. And it was said by people in New York City that the earthquake felt like a bomb had exploded. This 4.8 magnitude earthquake was centered in a town named White House Station in New Jersey, and this 4.8 magnitude earthquake hinted at the future 48th president, Barack Obama. The 44th president will become the president again through the use of the 25th Amendment. This is why on the date 4/4, demolition began on the Uranus building that was leaning at a 25-degree angle after the strongest earthquake in Taiwan in 25 years. God is communicating that after the bombs with nuclear uranium material are detonated in Manhattan, New York City, there will be a large-scale evacuation. The 44th president became the president in 2009. In God's signs, the number 9 is the most important number, as from the Bible it symbolizes God's judgment. The news stories of the Taiwan earthquake focused on the hundreds of people that were trapped in the national park that needed to be evacuated. On the date 4/4, 9 people were rescued and evacuated from a cave system named 9 Turns in the national park. The date 4/4 was 4,444% of a calendar year after the beginning of the 444-day Iran hostage crisis, which began on the date 11/4 in 1979, and the date 11/4 hints at 11 times 4 equals 44, and the Iran hostage crisis led to the attempt to rescue the hostages in what was known as Operation Eagle Claw, which was aborted after only 5 out of 8 helicopters made it to the first stage in the desert of Iran, after which 4 plus 4 U.S. military service personnel were killed and 4 were injured in an aviation disaster in the desert. And this date, 4/4, that was 4,444% of a year after the beginning of the 444-day Iran hostage crisis, is also 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 days exactly before the date it is predicted that dirty bombs or a suitcase nuke will be detonated in Manhattan, New York City. So far, I have explained how the big picture of signs, patterns, and connections works, and I have explained how the trail of signs was leading to the date February 24th in regards to the date that Kamala Harris is predicted to die in a plane crash. Her plane crash is predicted to be on December 24th, 4 plus 4 days after it is predicted that dirty bombs will explode in Manhattan. The trail of prophetic signs that are leading to the date it is predicted that Kamala Harris will die in a plane crash led to February 24th. The same is true regarding the prediction that 2 dirty bombs or a suitcase nuke will be detonated in Manhattan, New York City on December 16, 2024. Like Harris's predicted plane crash, God was also pointing to February 24th ahead of time regarding the prediction that 2 dirty bombs will be detonated in Manhattan. Likewise, the signs on February 24th revealed adding 5 times 8 days to reach the date 4/4, and as was explained, the signs on the date 4/4 in terms of the dirty bomb explosions in New York City revealed adding exactly 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 days, 4 to the power of 4 days, to reach December 16th, the date it is predicted that the dirty bombs will explode and there will be an evacuation in New York City. The signs on February 24th included the largest peacetime evacuation in the United Kingdom in order to enable the safe removal and detonation of a recently discovered 500-pound World War II bomb. Also on February 24th, an explosive was detonated outside the office of the Attorney General of Alabama after the Alabama Supreme Court ruled 8 days before February 24th that embryos are human life. These very important signs are explained in the Alabama Obama video. God developed elaborate trails of signs that led to February 24th in order to communicate extremely important knowledge through the many different stories contained in these trails of prophetic signs. There are about 70 videos related to the predicted dirty bomb in New York City on this channel that predict that these dirty bombs would explode and there would be an evacuation from Manhattan Island on February 3rd. Each of these videos tell a different and very important story that everyone needs to know, and these stories are developed through trails of connected prophetic signs that led to February 3rd, 2024. In other words, God's prophetic signs connected to February 3rd, and then on February 3rd we received the prophetic sign that was expected in advance of February 3rd. The prophetic sign that occurred on February 3rd that was expected in advance of February 3rd was the U.S. airstrikes in Iraq and Syria in response to the drone plane attack on the U.S. Tower 22 base in Jordan. The airstrike mission for the 2 U.S. bombers took 2 times 22 hours and began on the date 2/2, February 2nd. 2 B-1B bombers were used in the airstrikes. The letter B is the second letter in the alphabet. 2 B-1B bombers hint at 2 dirty bombs in the area code 212, which is Manhattan Island. The airstrikes carried out by 2 bomber planes on the date 2/2 that were in a response to the drone attack on the Tower 22 base revealed adding 22 days from the date 2/2 to reach February 24th, the day of the 2 prophetic bomb signs, and the other signs that revealed adding 5 times 8 days to reach the date 4/4, on which the prophetic signs revealed adding exactly 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 days to reach December 16th, the date it is predicted that 2 dirty bombs will explode in Manhattan, New York City. This important bomb sign and the important stories and knowledge that God is telling that relate to this are explained in the U.S. bombers' airstrikes video. For example, the 2 paths of the 2 U.S. bombers that departed from Texas and took 44 hours to complete their mission and return to Texas point to the 2 paths of the 2 eclipses that will cross over each other 44 days after the 2 bomb signs that occurred on February 24th that were previously mentioned, when the second Great American Eclipse will first enter the U.S. through Texas. This second eclipse will be on the date April 8th, 4/8, which hints at the 48th president, who is the 44th president, who will serve a second presidency. What I am saying is that when this prediction comes to pass, you should know that you need to watch every minute of every video on this channel, including all 70 of the videos that tell the different stories from God through different trails of prophetic signs that led to February 2nd and 3rd. The reason I say February 2nd and 3rd is because God was pointing to the 24th day of the month of Shavat in the Hebrew calendar, which began at sunset on February 2nd and went until sunset on February 3rd, and the airstrikes on Iraq and Syria occurred at midnight local time on February 2nd and 3rd. What I am saying is that the 70 videos in which it was predicted that a dirty bomb would explode in New York City on February 2nd and 3rd are 100% correct. What I am saying is do not skip these videos that are predicting February 2nd and 3rd. They must be watched. If you do not watch these videos and learn about the important stories God has been telling, you will have missed entirely the point of this prediction that is from God for 2 dirty bomb explosions and an evacuation in Manhattan, New York City on December 16th. Believe me, I know far better than you why God is giving this prediction, and it is so that you learn the information that is contained in these 70 other videos that predicted February 2nd and 3rd. All right, this amazing video and important video was produced prior to March 27th. This video is about the analysis, the trails of signs that God was leading to March 27th. It's amazing. The prophetic sign that occurred on March 27th confirmed all of the analysis. To confirm his big picture of signs, patterns, and connections, which is only being explained on this channel, God pairs the numbers 23 and 44 together, as the 44th president was the basketball president who wore jersey number 23 in high school. That's why on March 27th, because it's all about the Antichrist, God's end time signs, pretty much, the number 23 player for the team from San Francisco, which by the way hints at the first of the two Antichrists, Pope Francis. There's much more to what I'm saying, which is explained in other videos, but in short, this was the day of the big news about how this player number 23 was ejected from the game within the first 4 minutes for exploding at the ref. Literally, the news story was about how he exploded on the court. He exploded at the referee. This was the 4th time this season, which was why it was such a big news story in the sports world, because he had been suspended and he had just come back from his suspension, and his famous teammate, Stephen Curry, was completely distraught because this player is important in their chances to make it far in the playoffs. And Stephen Curry was completely distraught, almost in tears, as you could see, and the news media reported, because his teammate had just been ejected for the 4th time within the first 4 minutes of the game. Right after he got back, soon after he got back from his suspension for previous outbursts and explosions on the court with referees. All right, and so that 4th explosion within the first 4 minutes and his 4th ejection of the season hinted at the number 44, and this is player number 23. Anyway, all of this confirmed all of the analysis that I'm going to explain regarding it leading to March 27th. And like I just mentioned or explained a minute ago, if you had watched the introductory information, the reason why God presents these trails of signs is for a very good reason. It's so that he can tell these stories and reveal very important knowledge. It would be one thing if he would just tap someone on the shoulder and say, hey, this is going to happen on such and such date. But what good would that be? There wouldn't be any knowledge or information that we need, that God is presenting through his big picture of signs, which is only being explained on this channel. And so, in other words, even though you know that March 27th isn't the date, it was a step in the trail, and there's a reason for these steps in the trails. Now, this is the 4th ejection of the season within 4 minutes, hinted at adding 4 plus 4 days to get to April 4th, the date 4/4, on which the signs confirmed the analysis, which I believe was explained in the introductory information, yes. And that was the Uranus building, and that, as I explained, connects with exactly 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 weeks. In other words, 4 to the power of 4 weeks, to the date it is predicted that the dirty bombs will explode in Manhattan, New York City on December 16th, 2024. Now, later in this video, I will be talking about the U2 opening of the new theater in Las Vegas named Sphere. There's lots to this, and I will explain it, but U2 is symbolic of atomic bombs. They have a new song for this, specifically for their residency at this theater named Atomic City, which is this nickname for Las Vegas. And the band itself is named after the spy plane which was at the height of the Cold War, that was shot down. And then Russia threatened to nuke Pakistan because Pakistan had helped the US with the U-2 spy plane. So that's also nuclear bomb symbolism. And as amazing as the connection that I will explain in this video is between the date that they opened the sphere on September 29th, 2023, and the connection from that date to March 27th, 2024, the subject of this video, that opening of the sphere by U-2 is 444 days to the date it is predicted that the dirty bombs will explode in Manhattan. And that's astounding beyond words because of mainly two reasons. One, the Sphere Theater is known for how much it cost, which is $2.3 billion. It cost $2.3 billion to make this revolutionary, unprecedented theater in Las Vegas. But also, the band U2, the name U2 hints at 23, because U is the 21st letter in the alphabet, and when we add 2, we get 23. And as I just explained, God pairs 23 and 44 to confirm the signs and connections. This atomic bomb symbolism on September 29th, 2023, with the opening of the $2.3 billion sphere by U2, which hints at 23, is 444 days to the date it is predicted that the dirty bombs will explode. Dirty bombs are, of course, made with nuclear material, and that's why the connection to Las Vegas. This is astounding beyond words. 444 days pairs with the $2.3 billion and the name U2, which hints at 23. And this is how God's true big picture of signs, patterns, and connections works, which is only being explained on this channel. It works on the principle of second and third and multiple witnesses confirming a matter, as the Bible says is required, as this is what makes what is being explained on this channel true and not a product of one's imagination, and different and unique than everything else on the internet that claims to be an analysis of God's prophetic signs. And if we think about it, one simple way in which he would provide a second witness for us is through pairing certain numbers together, such as 23 and 44. Because the basketball president, the 44th president, wore 23 in high school. And I know this because I have been studying his big picture of signs from morning until night for more than full-time hours for 7 years. That I know that God pairs 23 and 44 to establish the signs and connections. And so that's why this is astounding beyond words. Actually, I just realized as I was explaining this that, or just after, that the story is also about Stephen Curry and his reaction to his teammate. And Stephen Curry is known as the three-point king. God has used Stephen Curry and his signs, especially when they won the championship in 2022, and that's explained in other videos. But Stephen Curry is the three-point king, and he's part of this story in his reaction to player number 23, who was ejected for the 4th time within the first 4 minutes of the game. And by the way, the headlines were all about, him being ejected within the first 4 minutes. That was a part of the story. It wasn't just that I noticed that. That was the main thing about the story. It was within 4 minutes. So what this does is hint at the Antichrist king who will serve a 3rd term, the three-point king. If you don't know basketball, it's when they shoot the ball and they get 3 points instead of the regular 2 because they've shot from a certain distance. So, and the three-point king hints at the 3rd term for the Antichrist king, who is the 44th president, who wore jersey number 23 when he played basketball in high school. And it is through these dirty bomb explosions that will be part of this rise of the Antichrist in a moment of crisis. And so that's why this is relevant. All right, this video is documenting this prediction that a dirty bomb, or more likely dirty bombs plural, or a suitcase nuke will explode in Manhattan in New York City on March 27th, 2024. And the date of this email that I will read that will explain some of the reasons for knowing this ahead of time, as we can see, was composed on March 11th. Okay? For that matter, this prediction that a dirty bomb will explode in New York City has been known since 2020 because of the prophetic signs that God had been even demonstrating back in 2020 that were revealing this. And since that time, it has been a big picture, a huge big picture of prophetic signs that is an interconnected web and are trails of signs, and it is now believed that the trail ultimately will end on March 27th. So this email is documenting the prediction. So anyway, yeah, you can see March 11th, right? This email is documenting the prediction that a suitcase nuke or one or two dirty bombs will explode in Times Square and or Wall Street in Manhattan, New York City on March 27th, 2024. There will be a large-scale evacuation from Manhattan Island. At the 2024 Academy Awards for movies, right? The Academy Awards, the Oscars, at the ceremony, the biopic film Oppenheimer about the Manhattan Project to create a nuclear bomb won 7 Academy Awards. The 7th prime number is 17. The movie about the Manhattan Project to build an atomic bomb won 7 awards 17 days before it is predicted that dirty bombs using nuclear bomb material will explode in Manhattan. The film for Oppenheimer for IMAX theaters famously weighs 600 pounds. The predicted bombs in Manhattan will be 6,000 hours after Oppenheimer was released in theaters. 6,000 hours is also 21,600 minutes, which hints at 216, and 216 is 6 times 6 times 6, which hints at the number of the Antichrist, and furthermore, the Antichrist was born on the 216th day of the calendar year. And in case you didn't pick it up, 6,000 hours hints at the 600 pounds. So the 600 pounds of movie film for Oppenheimer was released 6,000 hours before the predicted bombs that will be used, that will include or use nuclear material, hence the connection, of course, to Oppenheimer and the Manhattan Project. The 44th president is the Antichrist, who will lead the effort to persecute and restrict the movement of dissidents and execute them. The predicted dirty bomb and emergency evacuation in Manhattan will be exactly 4 times 4 weeks and 4 days after a record 44 inches of snow at the international airport north of Munich that caused flight delays and cancellations across Europe, major disruption, and also trapped private jets in Munich in thick ice and snow that were on their way to the climate change summit in the hot desert, which was ironic, which is why it is a confirmation that this is a prophetic sign from God. Furthermore, if I remember to leave an image, you can see one of the main images that was used in the media was of this private jet on the runway that had its nose up in the air as if it was about to take off, but it was frozen like a statue in ice and snow, which was symbolic of being trapped, right? As I am in the process of explaining here. It was attempting to leave but couldn't, in other words. That was the symbolic prophetic symbolism in this jet, for example, that was attempting or looked like it was attempting to take off but was restricted because of the record 44 inches of snow, which is 4 weeks and 4 days before the predicted dirty bomb. Why is this relevant? Well, I'm explaining this. Okay, this airport was and these planes, and by the way, the contrast between the climate summit on that day and these private jets on their way to it is perfect from God, because that is a false religion. The climate change hysteria is a form of false religious worship, which is the first and second commandments. It's the first commandment that's broken with idolatry to other false gods, false religions. And anyway, so yeah, the climate change summit happened to be in the hot desert on the same day as this cold ice and snow. Okay. This airport of this prophetic sign was right near the site of Dachau, the first Nazi concentration camp. God uses firsts in his signs for prophetic signs. There's lots to this story too. The significance of this historic site, Dachau. It's also where the Nazis trained their concentration camp employees and guards and personnel for the other concentration camps. It wasn't only the first symbolic Nazi concentration camp. It was also very important in the Nazi concentration camp system. The Nazis transported their victims to their camps using trains. On the same day as the record 44, which hints at the 44th president, inches of snow at the first Nazi concentration camp was an emergency tsunami evacuation on the coast of Okinawa Island. Okinawa sounds like Obama, and 32 military bases are located on the island. Obama in simple English gematria is 32, as is the word bomb, equal to 32. If you don't know what gematria is, words and names can be converted into a numeric value because Roman, Greek, and Hebrew letters are also numbers. That's what gematria is, and we can do this with simple English gematria. A equals 1, B equals 2, C equals 3, etc. Okay, so again, there are 32 military bases located on Okinawa. Okinawa sounds like Obama, and Obama is equal to 32, as is the word bomb. Obama, in fact, hints at Obama. This is why, for example, the Beirut barrack bombings in 1983, a very prophetic sign connected to other important United Nations signs, in fact, but that's another story. But the barrack bombings, the infamous barrack bombings, hints at Barack Obama. Okay, it was from Okinawa that U.S. bomber planes departed and then dropped the first atomic bombs in war. So in other words, Okinawa is known for atomic bombs. Right? 108 trams, which is a train, were destroyed in Hiroshima with the bomb. The evacuation on Okinawa is 108 days to March 19th, 2024, on which we can expect a relevant prophetic sign. And that day will be 4 plus 4 days, as in the 44th president, before the predicted dirty bombs in Manhattan. Now, the prophetic signs that occurred on March 19th, because today is March 21st, are explained in the must-watch Yankees bird strike video. An amazing video. All right, so again, the evacuation from Okinawa, again, 108 trams. This will be relevant in a minute. 108 trams or trains were destroyed in Hiroshima in the bombing. The evacuation of Okinawa is 108 days. This prophetic evacuation on December 2nd, 2023 is 108 days to March 19th. The prophetic signs that explain the step in the trail of signs that was March 19th are explained in the Yankees bird strike video. Okay? And that day will be 4 plus 4 days, which is the 44th president Antichrist, before the predicted dirty bomb that will use nuclear material in Manhattan. The two dirty bombs in Manhattan, because the Manhattan Project produced 2 atomic bombs that were dropped in Japan. And the 2 flights for those bombs were departures from Okinawa Island. The National Atomic Testing Museum is located in Las Vegas, Nevada, because the first atomic bombs were tested a few miles from Las Vegas. All right, so, sorry, the reason why the 108 is relevant is because it is 36 plus 36 plus 36, and that's one reason, because there's another connection regarding this. So that's like the other connection is a confirmation of the fact that 108 is relevant. The 108 trams. But that's explained in another video. Anyway, God repeats a number 3 times for emphasis of its symbolic meaning, and the number 36 is symbolic of 666, the number of the Antichrist. 36 hints at 3 sixes, but it is also 6 times 6, and 2 times 18, which is 6 plus 6 plus 6, and the 36th triangular number is 666, and 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 all the way up to 36 equals 666, the number of the Antichrist in Bible prophecy. All right, now, the National Atomic Testing Museum is located in Las Vegas, Nevada, because the first atomic bombs were tested a few miles north of Las Vegas. The band U2 took their name after the Cold War incident in which a U-2 U.S. spy plane was shot down over Russia. Russia threatened to drop a nuclear bomb on Pakistan for allowing the U.S. plane to launch from its territory. The band U2 has a new song titled Atomic City, and U2 opened the new famous Sphere Theater in Las Vegas on September 29, 2023. Sphere has a seating capacity of 18,000 and is situated on an 18-acre property in which ground was broken in 2018. U2 opened the theater with their concert and new song Atomic City 180 days before the predicted bombs or suitcase nuke will explode in Manhattan. 18 hints at 6 plus 6 plus 6, 666, the number of the Antichrist. Okay, so that's amazing here. God has used this Sphere Theater for a few different reasons, for other prophetic signs as well. But this is an amazing one. The theater, the ground was broken in 18. It's on 18 acres, and the seating capacity is 18,000. And we're talking about Atomic City with U2, and Las Vegas is symbolism for the atomic bombs. And that's why it is 180 days from all of this involving the number 18. Of course, 180 hints at 18 to the date of the predicted nuclear material bombs will explode in Manhattan. Because a dirty bomb, by the way, if you don't know, is a conventional explosive with nuclear material. Manhattan is the location where buildings collapsed on 9/11 in 2001. The bombs are predicted to explode in Manhattan 11 months and 9 days after April 18, 2023, when a car park in Lower Manhattan collapsed. The car park that collapsed in the financial district just after 4 p.m., which is when the stock market closes, it was 4 stories, and 4 people were taken to the hospital, and 4 New York sheriff's cars were destroyed because the 44th president is the Antichrist who will take control of the financial system after it collapses. And it seems clear that God's signs are indicating that that collapse will commence with the bombs that will explode in Manhattan. In Bible prophecy, the period of the Antichrist's rule is a symbolic 2 months. Oh, sorry. This is a typo. It's 42 months, okay? In Bible prophecy, the Antichrist's rule is symbolized by 42 months. And speaking of which, it is only symbolic. Pretty much everyone, those that are interested in prophecy, are still making the mistake in believing that it is a literal 42 months. It isn't. And the reason why God has given me a voice through this prediction is to prove this. That is the purpose of this prediction, make no mistake. I know far better than you why God has given me a voice through this prediction. We are already well inside the final 42 months. It is only symbolic, and that symbolic began on May 1st and 2nd, 2021, 1,260 days before the Day of Atonement in the Hebrew calendar on October 12th, 2024, the day of the Second Coming. That is the reason for this prediction. To not appreciate this is to miss entirely the point of this prediction that is from God. So, it took me a long time to accept, well, not a long time, I just followed the signs actually, but it was hard to believe, I should say, at first, to accept that the 42 months is only symbolic. Because prior to May 1st, it was believed that that would be some sort of big date for something that everyone would recognize, like people are still expecting some sort of event, like the Antichrist putting his foot on the Temple Mount or something. They're not even clear on what to expect. They just know that it's 42 months, but it's only symbolic. And the reason why, by the way, for that is because the time times and a half time, for those that know what I'm talking about, the time times, and I'll get back to the video in just a second, sorry. The time times and a half time is not a riddle or clue that confirms 42 months or 1,260 days. A year, 2 years and a half year, 42 months. It's the other way around. The 42 months is symbolic of a time times and a half time. A time times and a half time is symbolic of tribulation. That's all. A tribulation, typically for an individual even, has it for a period of time, and then it's doubled with an increase, a times plural, and then levels out in an easing of the tribulation. This was demonstrated by God through the endurance ship, most epic journey of survival and endurance, Shackleton's endurance ship in Antarctica. They had their first leg of the journey on the sea ice and even had a camp named Patience. All right, and then it got really intense when they made it to Elephant Island and had to cross the ferocious Antarctic Sea to South Georgia Island. So that's the times. That's the doubling of the tribulation. And then they landed on the south side of the island, and the whaling station was on the other northern side of the island, and they had to cross an uncharted mountain range in the snow, which was dangerous too, but it wasn't as intense, arguably, as the sea journey. So that was the halftime. All right. And by the way, the doubling and all that, the halftime and the times and all that, that was also symbolized in it, because literally half of the men, after they made it to Elephant Island, continued on to Georgia Island. And then literally half of those men continued on to the northern side of the island. So anyway, okay, so back to the 42 months here. In Bible prophecy, the period of the Antichrist's rule is symbolized by 42 months. The dirty toxic bombs are predicted to explode, and there will be an evacuation due to the air quality exactly 42 weeks after the date 6/6, June 6th, which hints at 666, the number of the Antichrist. And the air quality advisory for New York City, due to the smoke from the wildfires in Canada, which was across the border wall of security, which was Joshua's symbolism, all right, from the Bible. Also, on 6/6 was the release of the video game Diablo 4, for which there was a giant billboard in Manhattan that said, "Welcome to Hell, New York City, 6/6. In Diablo 4 was released on the same day that a huge dam burst, which was an explosion in Ukraine. And Ukraine, led by the 44-year-old who just turned 44 right before the beginning of the war, and so in other words was 44 years old during the entire prophetic first year of the war, when at the time there were 44 million Ukrainians in the country before they made an emergency evacuation. The 44th president is Satan's Diablo representative. All right, now I'll try to remember to leave a image of this billboard of the Diablo 4 release in New York City, and you can see the red sky behind the billboard due to the smoke from the fires in coming from Canada. Okay, so I just wanted to go over this again. We were talking about the Antichrist, who is the 44th president, and that's why on the same day we had the big news story of the explosion in Ukraine, which is 42 weeks, which since at the 42 months period, it symbolizes the Antichrist. And on the same day, it was 6/6, and there was this Diablo 4, right, billboard, welcome to hell, with the backdrop of the red sky behind it because of the fires. All right, and this is Manhattan we were talking about, and we were talking about dirty bombs exploding in Manhattan, creating an evacuation due to the air quality, and on the 6/6 date, there was the advisory for the air quality in New York. So this is an astounding connection, in other words. This is merely scratching the surface of the reasons for how this prediction is known in advance. For more information, please visit bitshoot.com or Odyssey, spelled ODYSEE.com, video channels, Harris Crash Prediction. And also read the website trumpprediction.com. Believe me, I know far better than you how the prediction made in this video was derived. And more importantly, I know far better than you why the righteous Christian God of the Bible has given me a voice through this prediction. If you are a quote-unquote Christian or Muslim, this prediction was not learned through a demon. Be warned that blaspheming the Holy Spirit is the unforgivable sin. If you are a New Ager or New Spirituality person, this prediction was not learned through somehow tapping into the supposed universal collective consciousness. If you are a conspiracy theorist, this prediction was not learned through figuring out a supposed code that the Illuminati and Satanists are using. This prediction was learned through the Bible and through watching carefully the Lord's prophetic signs, which Jesus commanded all Christians to do. Besides proving that Jesus Christ is the Lord, the reason why God has given me a voice through this prediction is to prove that the controversial things that I am saying in the videos on this channel are the truth. Therefore, a wise person will want to watch all of the videos on this channel. What I will also do is create a video or two that summarizes some of the controversial things that the Lord will prove to be true when the prediction being made in this video comes to pass. I will leave links to these must-watch videos in the description box below this video. Again, the purpose of this prediction, that is from God, is to prove these things that I will talk about. And therefore, it would be foolish to not watch the videos that I will leave links for in the description box below this video. Aliens and UFOs are demons masquerading as aliens and UFOs. Most people's spiritual experiences are demonic deception, especially if they are not a true follower of Christ. In the last days, many people who claim to be a follower of Christ will have spiritual experiences that are in reality demonic. God became a man and died a horrible death at the hand of the ruler of this world, Satan, and then defeated death for you, so that you too can overcome death, which is the price that must be paid for sin. It is time to repent, which means to change one's ways and turn to God and become a disciple of Jesus. Please leave a like and upvote the video, and once this prediction has come to pass, share this video with everyone you know, and more, don't stop sharing it everywhere in social media. It is essential that everyone immediately read the homepage of my website, trumpprediction.com. If you are watching this on the YouTube platform, please note that not all of the videos are on YouTube. You need to switch to the Odyssey.com or Rumble.com channel, and do it now in case you aren't able to later.